On the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports tonight on this Tuesday night in the Mile High City. He's Marcello Romano. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. It is set. The Denver Broncos are the number one seed in the AFC. Cello and I will spend the next 25 minutes looking back just a little bit, looking forward as well. The playoff bracket is here. Of course, Denver is waiting for its opponent. We can get into all that. I wrote about it this morning at DenverSports.com. But, Cello, let's start with Broncos-Chargers. I know it's been a big talking point on the station the last couple of days. The vanilla nature of the offensive game plan. Obviously, the defense beat up Trey Lance pretty good. I was not real impressed with a guy that I called a bust last week, and it looked like he is a bust. But that said, that game was 10-3 for an awful long time, even 13-3 going into the fourth quarter. What was your reaction watching a game that the Broncos had to have to get the one seed, but not doing it with a ton of style points, at least not on offense?
Obviously not what we wanted, right? I mean, we wanted to see Bo Nix and some of the defensive starters getting to rest in that fourth quarter, but it wasn't the case. And I think in the moment, frustration boiled over. It took you back to 10-3 against the Raiders. It took you back to the Jets game, and it was like, how are we still playing offensive football like this? But the more that we break it down, and I'm listening to the station, the first couple days after that game, and I think the morning show did a great job of kind of illustrating it today, that first drive, things were clicking. Now, they didn't put 7 on the board, but they moved the football at will.
They did.
Shortly after that, you get the pick 6 from Jaleel McLaughlin, and
Jaquan McMillan.
Jaquan McMillan, my bad. What did I say?
Jaleel McLaughlin. He's not playing DB, not quite yet.
Yeah, it's similar names.
Yes.
All right, my bad. Jaquan gets the pick 6. Thank you for correcting me on it. And I think from that moment on, the more that I look at it, I think the entire game plan just changed. And I think he probably had a little corner on that play sheet that said if we get that double-digit lead, listen, there was no way they were going to lose that game to Trey Lance.
It didn't feel like it.
After you had a double-digit lead, I think things changed. And probably much to our chagrin, but who knows? It could be very beneficial here in a couple weeks if the Chargers are able to go up to New England and beat the Patriots.
Interesting. I'll have to pick your brain on that because I actually want to see the bracket playing out a little different. I would like the Patriots to win that football game. But while we're on this one too, so you think Sean made a conscious effort? I've got 1, maybe 2, hopefully 3 playoff games coming up. I'm not going to show anything on my offense.
I know. I think a lot of people will be like, yeah, you can't really say that because of what they've looked like for a majority of the season, the inconsistent play on the offensive side of the football. But, dude, he hasn't been wrong all year. And I think, you don't think that went through his mind? If we get this lead at this point, things are going to change. Because it was very uninspired play calling.
Sure.
There was no creativity behind it. And how do you go from being able to run the rock the way you did in the opening drive to being completely shut down for the rest of the game? To me, I think he looked at the percentages, and he's looked at all the analytics on percentages on who was going to get what seed and what the probabilities were of maybe facing this opponent again in the near future. And to me, the way that it played out, I can't come to terms with it any other way. Look at the way they played the game last year against the Chiefs, where they go out and win 38-0. They blanked the Chiefs. I know it was the reserves, but the Chargers had the same thing. And the Chargers are probably playing a little more inspired football, especially defensively, but you weren't challenging them. When did they go down the field other than the Evan Ingram play?
Very little, if at all.
No, there was nothing. They were just like, let's get out of here and hopefully stay healthy, which they did for the most part. And we have an opportunity to just get our team ready for the long postseason run. So that's what I'm going off of now is I think once the score changed and you got that defensive touchdown, I think the mentality of how you were going to attack that football game completely changed.
No, it's a theory that makes a lot of sense. One I hadn't considered either, so thank you for bringing it along. Shout out to the morning show for planting the idea as well, because it does look like that first drive you're going to get a touchdown, and then you stall out right in front of the goal line, which was unfortunate. Then Jaquan gets the pick 6, and I think the whole stadium was like, woo, let's party. We're the 1 seed. Once it was 10-0, and I think human nature that crept into the Broncos and their sideline and their play calling and all that as well. Now, they did get some reality checks because they're getting booed, which I found, not bad. I'm not blaming Broncos country, but I just found it kind of insane that they're about to wrap a 14-3 season and they're getting booed in Week 18. It doesn't really compute, but that offense probably did deserve to get booed at times. But I like this theory that the offense didn't want to get booed. Of course, that's too strong, but they also didn't mind it because they're sitting there on the sideline going, you know what? You guys paid good money. I get why you're booing us, but also we're doing this more intentionally than you realize at this point in time.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I would take the boos now if it meant ultimate success in the month of January. Would you not? Would you trade that out like a 10-minute smattering of some boos from the fans who wanted to see more?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I was at the game that was most uninspired all year.
The Raiders TNF game.
Yes. So like I feel for you. I know the frustration. That's why I said within the moment watching it was like, gosh, just put these guys away already. Like let's get going. But none of the play calls spoke to that at all for the rest of the game. And I think had they gotten maybe a little bit closer, maybe they go back to being a little bit more aggressive. But the reality is they didn't have to. Not against that team. The concern I would have is the physicality, even on the second unit for the Chargers. Like for whatever reason, even if you're just doing base vanilla type offense, you're supposed to be a lot better than the guys that you were going against. So it still should have looked better than it did. It just didn't.
Yeah, Bo Nix sacked 4 times. I thought the offensive line had a pretty rough day. I know Garrett Bowles got hurt. It was good to see him come back. Alex Forsythe, we're going to be watching that one as well. He came back. Sam Mustipher got some playing time. Ben Powers, we're not really sure where he's at in his recovery. They're mixing in Palczewski. Like, it just didn't feel like, and the Bulls injury didn't help because people were very nervous about Garrett Bowles, and rightfully so, but it just didn't feel like that physical toughness was really there from the O-line on Sunday.
No, Miners was getting blown by. Bo, like for as much criticism as he gets from most people, I'm a big Bo supporter. That was not a good game. His footwork looked different again. It looked like he was just standing flat-footed. Like it was very nonchalant looking. Like as if, let's get out of here, just get the win, get the number 1 overall seed, and then when the playoffs arrive, you have no other choice but to be aggressive and go after it at that point.
And do you think with Bo, too, sometimes I notice the footwork, but I also notice he just has so much velocity on the football that, like, when he's playing his best, his feet are on time, and he's got good touch on the ball. When he's playing his worst, his feet look awful, and he's just darting it in there as hard as he can. He had the one to R.J. Harvey, I believe.
Yeah.
And it just is like, dude.
Take a little off, J.J. McCarthy.
Take a little, like, and this feels like a lifetime ago, but really it was just when they were 1-2, so it was 3.5 months ago. But we were kind of talking about him playing with that pressure, you know, that Sean put on him after all the comments. And I would describe Bo's sophomore season kind of like a roller coaster. At times it looked like he was playing with the weight of the world on his shoulders, and other times he looked relaxed and awesome and great. And I guess that's to be expected for a guy completing his second year in the league.
That, and I mean, you bring up kind of the footwork and the touch. Nance and Romo even made a joke about it during the broadcast, about you want a statue of you outside the stadium. You don't want to have a statue in the stadium, because there was one particular play where the offensive line held up. He stood there just scanning the defense, which that was a concern. Is like, we have what talent on the outside that nobody was able to get up. It was probably 4 seconds of he's just chilling. The play didn't amount to anything, but it was enough for the broadcast team to make a joke out of it.
Yeah, so people were aware. People were noticing, and Nance and Romo certainly did as well. All right, so now that the playoffs are set, let's start looking ahead. You made an interesting comment that you want the Chargers to beat the Patriots and come back to Denver.
I didn't say want. I said...
You said big favor.
It's a possibility.
Well, you said favor. It makes it sound like you want it.
No, when did I say favor? Like they would do us a favor?
We could pull the tape. I thought the word favor was used.
If I did, I didn't want it. I'm just saying it was a possibility.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That
then
Sean,
maybe I misheard you.
Sean realized there's probabilities going on with everything, and I guarantee you, with the amount of the research that his team does for him going into these press conferences and games and whatnot, that he knew it was a possibility.
Sure.
So if I get that double-digit lead, the hell am I going to show it for? I take you back to 1998. Okay, the Broncos go to New York. They take on Kent Graham and the New York Giants. They're 13-0 at that point. And you're thinking, man, undefeated season's really possible here.
Sure.
They don't get out of New York. They lose. Tito Paul gets burned in the end zone. So then they come back. TD has to fly back and do Sesame Street. Then they come back, and then they're in Miami on a Monday night the following week. that game plan, they knew Miami was a pretty dang good possibility that they'd see them again in the postseason. Miami kind of wiped the floor at the Broncos. They dropped 2 straight. They end up winning the last game to get to 14, but they didn't show anything, and that was fully by design. Do I think Sean Payton did the same thing Mike Shanahan did there? No. But when the game changed and you get the defensive points, that's when I think his mentality started to change. And I think it's reflective in what you saw offensively for the remainder of the football game.
Yeah, and obviously the Broncos that year went on to win back-to-back Super Bowls, and they did beat Miami in the playoffs here. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like 38-3.
It was a total beatdown.
Yes.
And that was divisional round, or was
Divisional,
that AFC title game? Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe, no, AFC title game was, I think, the Jets.
Here.
Yeah. So I know they had to go through, I think they beat Jacksonville. That was in 97, my bad. So 98 was, the Dolphins, and I think it was 38-3.
So it kind of worked out. I mean, Shanahan's like, yeah, you guys want to beat us on a Monday night. I'll win the game that actually matters down the road. All right, then let me reframe this conversation, because I thought you used the word favor. Maybe you didn't. How do you want the AFC bracket to shake out? Because the most obvious is, or the easiest to explain, is if the Chargers beat the Patriots, they're coming to Denver, because the NFL reseeds 7 will play 1. Now, if the Patriots win that game, that's where it gets a lot more interesting, and you could either play the Texans, you could play the Steelers, or if the Bills beat the Jaguars, you would play Buffalo. There's 4 possible opponents. How do you sort of rank them in terms of most desirable to least desirable in the divisional round?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Will, because I read a piece by Will Peterson this morning at DenverSports.com, and I think you laid it out perfectly, that out of all of it, I think we'd be crazy to not – I don't want the Chargers – because it's hard to you play a team 3 times, the familiarity just being a divisional foe, and you know what kind of game that's going to be. People are going to get beat up in that football game. The Buffalo Bills, no matter what people say and how they've looked over the last month, Josh Allen's always going to be scary. I'm not saying you won't have to go through an opponent like that to get to what your eventual goal would be. But I think it's got to be the Steelers. You want the Steelers to knock off. They have the Texans, right?
Yep, 4-5.
That's, I think, probably the most favorable matchup in that divisional round.
See, I agree with you, and it's almost like the reverse of the seeding, right? Like, 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of throw the numbers out the window, and obviously Pittsburgh won a pretty mediocre AFC North, but that's why I want the seeds to hold, because if 2, 3, and 4 all win, then 4 plays 1 here in Denver and 2 plays 3. That would be New England and Jacksonville. Oh, by the way, it would take care of a huge threat in the Bills. It would take care of the best defense other than the Broncos left in the Texans, and a grindy, gritty, scrappy Chargers team would be going home as well. That's not me saying that New England and Jacksonville are slouches. That's just me kicking the can down the road, right? Let me play Pittsburgh in the divisional round.
Yeah.
New England and Jacksonville can battle it out in Foxborough in the divisional round, and hopefully the Broncos handle the Steelers, and then whoever emerges from that comes here for an AFC title game that obviously will have significance either way based on the Broncos' history, particularly in Denver with each of those franchises.
Plus, you look at 2 of the 3 Super Bowl runs. Who did they have to beat along the way to get it?
Well, they beat New England in 15. They didn't win it in 13.
But I'm saying that the Steelers.
Oh, yes. They
right?
beat Pittsburgh twice.
You had to beat Pittsburgh in 3 Rivers in 97, and then you had to beat them here. That's when, what was that guy, the running back's name? Toussaint.
Yep.
Yes.
Lorenzo Toussaint. Yes.
I think DeMarcus Ware punches it out and Roby covers it. Is that how it
might
went?
have been vice versa. Might have been Roby with the punch and DeMarcus. But either way, it was a massive play, and it's a play that doesn't get talked a lot about because if they don't make it, we never have Super Bowl 50. So,
exactly.
So with that said, too, think about this. The path that year was Pittsburgh, New England, Carolina. The path this year could definitely be Pittsburgh, New England, and then probably not Carolina. I don't think anyone's picking them to come out of the South. But even just to get back, think about that. To get back to Santa Clara, Levi Stadium, Steelers divisional round here, Patriots divisional round here, just like it was on the road to Super Bowl 50. And we know there's been a lot of numbers out there and kind of the like the similarities between the two teams. And, of course, it being 10 years apart and in the same stadium is one of the biggest ones to me.
Exactly. Now, we say all that, but the NFL's wonky this season. I've been saying it all season long. It's like there's games that teams have no business in losing, and somehow they snatch the defeat out of the jaws of victory, right? So it's for us to say, yeah, we'd love for it to play out like that. The chances of it actually happening, slim to none. Something tells me Buffalo ends up here.
So in that case, you have New England over the Chargers, because obviously if the Chargers win, they're here, and you also have Buffalo over Jacksonville, and it renders Houston-Pittsburgh irrelevant, at least for the Broncos case, because whoever wins that would ultimately then go on to face New England.
Yeah. So, I mean, and listen, that could happen too. This is why we love this time of year. You fight all season long, and no matter what people want to say about the Broncos and how critical they want to be of Bo Nix and the offense and the inconsistencies that they've had pretty much for the majority of the season, they have everything laid out exactly how Sean kind of just painted that picture for everyone back in August, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and he outlined his 3 goals. 1, win the division. 2, get the highest seed possible. 3, win the Super Bowl. He's checked off 2 of the 3. And you're right, it's almost like this guy had a time machine or something and utilized it.
Even going back to let's dump the game pieces off the game board and start over.
Yep.
Not only did they do that, then they jumped a couple steps. It's like you're playing trouble and you get a 10. You get to go all the way around without hitting any big obstacles. Now the obstacles have arrived. You're in the NFL postseason, and that's why last year means that much more, just getting that experience. I know the result wasn't anything anybody wanted, but they went into Buffalo, and they put a scare into them for a little bit before it kind of, the cream rose to the top and the Bills went on. But after that first drive, when he hits Troy Franklin in the end zone, you go back and watch that film and look at the face that Sean Payton's making. He thought they were going to win that football game at that point. Now they didn't, but you gain that experience because you were able to go to Buffalo and see what the difference is between regular season football play and what it means to go against a perennial playoff team in the Bills.
Yeah, and they brought back so much of this roster as well. I mean, it's something like 80% of the roster was in that playoff game last year, which is crazy. You normally see more turnover than that in the NFL. And the other note on that game real quick that people like to give me a hard time for, but I maintain it, it was 13-7 Bills on 4th down late in the third quarter. And who was it, Ray Davis or Ty Johnson?
The catch that still hasn't been made?
Yeah, one of the catches in the back of the end zone that was very iffy and questionable. I mean, it's Broncos ball down 13-7 basically going into the fourth quarter. I know what the final score was. I think it was 31-7, not real pretty, but there are moments in football games that kind of have butterfly effect to them, and obviously that one had a massive butterfly effect.
Well, I don't know if you've watched the recent Club Shay Shay with John Elway, but he says every game comes down to 4 or 5 plays. You bring up that one in the end zone. Don't forget, Will Lutz missed a field goal going into half.
He did.
Where you could have put some more points on the board. All these type of things that happened that the team just wasn't ready to achieve that moment yet, and hopefully because of the way they've played football games this season, that's why it's going to be close no matter who they play. Do you agree with me there? Like
they play close games.
There's no blowout victory along the road here in the postseason. Not for the Broncos. There might be other ones.
I would pick them by a touchdown over the Steelers. Comfortable. Not 1 point, but not 20 points either. Yeah.
But still a 1-score game.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean that's what it's going to be. So Broncos country, buckle up.
All right, let's go through the pros and cons of each of the potential 4 opponents here. We'll start with the 7 seed, the Chargers. If they're here, or if they win, they are coming back here to Denver. What's a pro to playing the Chargers? What's a potential con to playing the Chargers?
Pro is they've been beat up all season long, and yeah, they played inspired with their reserve unit this past Sunday. But you've played them twice already. You'll play them a third time. The Broncos could have won that game in week 3?
Yeah, they probably should have won that game.
Should have won that football game. And even though the game was closer on Sunday than any of us wanted, they were never really in danger of losing that. So you have familiarity with it, but that's also the con. The very same thing is that coaching staff, whether it's just the way that they coach, Jesse Minter's doing a phenomenal job in L.A. with the Chargers, they could prevent the Broncos from moving along. They play a physical brand of football. I don't think the Broncos fear that. I think they'd handled it when they saw the Texans a little while ago. They've played the Chargers twice, but it's like the pro is the con in this case for me.
Yeah, and it would definitely be a close game. And, we were kind of speculating on the drive. Now that John Harbaugh is no longer with the Ravens, could he go help Jim as somewhat of a consultant, And then you're facing 2 Harbaughs, not 1. So that could be another con. All right, for Buffalo, my con is very obvious, and it's 2 words. It's Josh Allen, right?
Yep.
But my pro, and you just got to listen to Zach Bye, but my pro is I don't know if the Bills are that good. Are they good? Are they not? I'm not sure, but obviously the con being Josh Allen, that's a careful what you wish for type thing if they end up coming here in 10, 11 days.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. The biggest one is Josh Allen, because he's just he's a game changer. He could take over a football game. There's a reason his nickname is Superman. I mean, he scored 6 touchdowns in a game not that long ago. So, and with the year that James Cook has had running the football, that prevents problems or presents problems no matter how good your defense has been all year. The pro for me, I would agree with you, is that I think he may be trying to do a little too much. And I think you've seen it in the recent weeks in his play. There's been numerous times where I don't know if it's Orlovsky or whoever breaking down plays where he has an outlet. He has a play to either get a first down or maybe even put him into the end zone, and he's making decisions like he did when he was feeling like I have to do everything. Because I don't think he trusts his skill position players on the outside. It's very easy to turn around and hand it off to James Cook.
Yeah.
It's very easy if you get short yardage that you just leave the ball in my hands, I'm going to push forward. But that would be the pro, is that the story looks like it's been laid out for him, right? Mahomes is out. Ding dong, the witch is dead for Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens didn't even qualify for the postseason. The AFC seems to be wide open. So the storybook would be Josh Allen finally gets his John Elway moment.
Right.
But if you're trying to do too much with a good, disciplined Broncos defense, then you could run into trouble too.
And also, if the Bills beat the Jaguars this weekend, which they very well could, I mean, they're slight favorites in that game, I just have a feeling it's going to kind of be an instant classic, right? 2 high-powered offenses in the sense of maybe the defenses aren't as good.
That game, Jacksonville and Buffalo, you mean?
Yeah, that game, I'm saying, could be 35-31 and absolutely exhausting. And then when you're Denver, the bye advantage comes into play that much more. All right, how about Houston and Pittsburgh? Any thoughts on these two? Listen, this is Monday night. So if the bracket does hold and Jacksonville wins and New England wins, then Monday night will be a play-in game to come play Denver, either Houston as the 5 seed or the Steelers as the 4.
I think it's pretty obvious the least favorable matchup's Houston. They've been on a roll lately. C.J. Stroud, for the struggles he's had in his sophomore season and then the time that he missed after the Broncos knocked him out of the game, the Texans' defense is the most physical unit in the National Football League.
Even more so than the Broncos.
Physicality-wise,
yeah,
I would rank them, Chargers, and the Broncos are probably 3 or 4 on that list, in my opinion, because Seattle is also a team that's very physical defensively. So that's one, and you have to think about C.J. Stroud. This will be his 5th. This coming weekend, I think, is his 5th postseason start. So he's got the experience too. I don't really love that matchup. I just don't. And for the Steelers, they got in. They seemed like they won the Super Bowl the other night, which was crazy to me. With the amount of success that Aaron Rodgers has had over his career and Mike Tomlin has had in his tenure as the head coach of the Steelers, it was like they wanted that. It almost seems like there's writing on the wall that Tomlin might be on his way out. But there's that storybook, there's that the Disney movie finish for the Steelers that they're just going to go one game at a time. Why not us? Where those are the stories we love as American sports fans. I just don't think it's a reality this year.
Yeah, and I think the pro to Pittsburgh is that they are the worst team in the AFC playoffs by a long shot. I think just having to beat the Steelers to go to the AFC title game would be a gift from the football gods, if you will. That would just line up really well, that all you have to do is beat 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, Mike Tomlin, maybe a foot out the door to go to the AFC title game. In a year with the AFC this competitive, that would be a pretty easy path, I guess, for lack of a better word.
We've seen that team roll in 2005 when we thought we got the easier matchup because they went into Indianapolis and beat Peyton Manning and the Colts.
Good point.
And they turn around, I think they got beat 34-17 in the AFC Championship game.
How old was Big Ben?
Oh, I want to say that was because he played in that Super Bowl, so he was maybe 25?
Yeah. So that would be the difference. I mean, I get what you're saying, but Ben at 25 versus Aaron at 42.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's similarities, but on the other side, one on the front 9 and one on the back 9.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing real quick with the Texans, too, is that I think they have sneaky weapons on offense, too.
Yeah, they do.
That the Broncos secondary in particular, outside of PS2, I always have to put that caveat, outside of PS2 could struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see it this weekend when how they attack the Steelers defense. Steelers defense has been decent pretty much the whole year. What you saw on Sunday night, though, was Jaylen Warren running the football like he was a Pro Bowler, though. So, like, if they get that going, you take some of the pressure off, Aaron Rodgers and you get DK Metcalf back, listen, people in Pittsburgh are probably concocting ways that they can have success in this postseason. The reality is they've been about a 500 football team all year, and that's for a reason.
Yeah, and that feels like what Mike Tomlin's been for the better part of a decade now, kind of 9-8 every year is the joke with him, and not a lot of postseason success. All right, really interesting conversation. If you want to chime in, 303-713-1043 is the RamosLaw.com text line. Even though the Broncos are off, one of their coaches is making a lot of headlines in the last 48 hours, and we will dive into that next.
The Broncos win their 14th game of the season and finished as the number 1 team in the AFC. Welcome to the big league. With an extra week to prepare, will the Broncos move one step closer to a Super Bowl return? Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
So, you're ready to propose, huh?
Yeah, man. She's definitely the one.
What are we thinking about the ring? I got my wife's at Hellsberg. I couldn't recommend a better jeweler.
I could use some help with that.
Man, go to Hellsberg. I had no idea how many details you need to consider. Did you know you can get a natural or lab-grown diamond? I didn't. Figure out what she wants. Trust me, they'll make it happen.
Start your story with Hellsberg. Shop in store or at Hellsberg.com.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3, The Fan.
Brandon Stokely here for Colorado's hometown HVAC team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Is your heating system struggling to perform and need to be traded? It has never been easier to get a quote for a new heating system. Rocks Heating and Air offers a free online heating and cooling quoting system so that you can quickly and accurately get pricing on a new system. Only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
The University of Denver brings you the best athletics in the metro area. From lacrosse, basketball, hockey, soccer, gymnastics, and more. We have a sport to cheer on at DU. Ticket packages are available to meet your busy lifestyle and are easy on the wallet. Learn more on our digital platforms, including denverpioneers.com.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. It's a new year. It's time to work on a new you.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. We have the nation's lowest prices on the best equipment money can buy. We carry true treadmills. They are the smoothest, quietest, and best warranted treadmills ever built for the home. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose, from the safety and comfort of your own home. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
A lot of personal injury lawyers make claims about how good they are. But how do you know who's the best? Who will fight to get you the money you deserve? At Berg Simpson, we don't rely on simple claims like other firms. We have 27 best lawyers in America, 17 super lawyers, and we're one of the National Trial Lawyers' top 25 most influential law firms. Compare us to other firms, then call Berg Simpson.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay, plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan brought to you by the National Western Stock Show, January 10th through the 25th. Tickets at nationalwestern.com.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
All right, so Denver Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph is going to have a busy bye week as the Broncos wait to see who they'll play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Joseph is getting plenty of interest to be an NFL head coach again on Monday.
Has James already started writing like his pre-story for if the Broncos somehow find a way to lose about VJ being distracted?
Have not seen a draft of that, but that could be up Marilat's
I can
alley.
see it's coming.
Yeah. On Monday, we learned the Titans are interested in VJ's services, and on Tuesday, that would be today, 4 more squads with head coaching vacancies have called. The confirmed list: the Titans, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Falcons. This all came out about 2:30. John Harbaugh got fired like 30 minutes later, so maybe the Ravens involved in this as well. But right now, Titans, Cardinals, Raiders, Giants, Falcons. Only the Browns, team with an opening that has not reached out to VJ about at least doing an interview this week. Broncos will be back on Friday. Our Mike Kliss, 9 News and 104.3 The Fan Insider, is reporting that VJ will do these over Zoom starting tomorrow and then Thursday and see where they proceed. I know you said a little tongue-in-cheek, but I also think it's worth chatting about as well. First of all, any surprises on the list for VJ? It is a plethora of teams that are interested in chatting with him. And then 2, do you worry focus level doing interviews when you're about to coach arguably the biggest game of your life?
I think you'd be a little naive to say there's not a tad bit of it, but you also you understand that there's a job that you still have to do. The benefit is that you don't have to hop on a plane and go meet with someone and waste full days to do so. So for him to be able to do it over Zoom, not surprising. The interest level as far as what he's been able to accomplish in his time back here as a defensive coordinator, not surprising at all. I mean, he's been, what are they, the number 2 overall defense this year? And that happened basically on one of the final drives against the Chargers. So the interest level's there. I guess I would fire back at you and be like, do you think second go-around Vance Joseph has a little more success? Listen, obviously it's been reported wildly here about he was kind of handcuffed when he had the job here for the Broncos and he didn't get a lot of decision-making power. I just look at VJ and sometimes I think he kind of is like that Wade Phillips character to me. Like you're just very good at doing defense. And some people either can turn that over and be good in the head coaching space. I don't really fully see that, but I'm not surprised by the interest level after the success he's had here.
Yeah, and Vic Fangio is a name that comes to mind as well there, right?
Yeah.
The defensive coordinator, we'd go down to training camp when he was the head coach. He didn't want to watch the offense. It's like, dude, you're the head coach now.
Kind of important.
He didn't want to do that. That said, to answer your question, I think VJ will have success in his second go-around because, A, I do think some of the reports that he was a little handcuffed here were accurate and that John Elway was just running the show. And, I mean, we all remember the day they cut TJ Ward and VJ didn't even know. He wasn't even being looped in on major decisions. And then, B, I think Vance has talked about this a lot, and I believe him. And honestly, I just believe him because of his demeanor and his confidence level, and we really see that at the podium. This dude is so much more confident and a leader of men now than he was when he got the job.
When he was labeled that,
Remember,
right?
that was the spin, was leader of men. And then we all watched the opening presser, and we're like, I didn't really want to run through a brick wall.
Just that he's a winner.
Yeah, exactly. And he kind of had those foot-in-the-mouth moments with we had a great week of practice. It's like, VJ, you can't say that when your defense just gave up 52 points. No one wants to hear that. That said, I'm all for second chances, and VJ's proved it with obviously the defense's performance on the field, but he just as a human being seems so much more confident to me now than he did 7-8 years ago.
I think this would be the one area that I think I could see it, because a lot of names come to mind when I say, hey, they got another opportunity. Raheem Morris just got fired in Atlanta, although he's getting looks already in like Tennessee and maybe some other spots. Todd Bowles, after he left the Jets, and he's had a little bit of success down in Tampa. That division is always kind of garbage for the past few years. But what I think the difference with VJ is you remember what they were saying about this roster 18 months ago?
It was bad.
They were the 32nd ranked roster, I think, in the National Football League. And other than Pat Surtain, give me another name that you knew on the defense.
Yeah, you're talking about like the Pro Football Focus list that ranked them 1 through 32. And you're right. Only 18 months ago, it's hard to believe they had them as the worst ranked roster in the NFL.
And a lot of that, I mean, you have 11 of those starters are on the defense. And for the past two seasons, that's been the calling card for this team, is what he's been able to do defensively and making names out of the guys that they had that were supposedly not players in the NFL.
Yeah, I like that because Nick Bonito is now a household name.
Yep.
He wasn't before. Zach Allen even becoming more of a household name. He was not before. Jonathan Cooper has really taken a big leap under Vance Joseph's tutelage. So, yeah, I definitely think that, he's elevated the star power of the Broncos defense is what you're getting at a little bit here.
Yeah.
So these 5 teams, obviously the Raiders are interesting because they're in the AFC West. After that, the Cardinals jump out because VJ was the DC there after he got fired by the Broncos from his first head coaching stint. You mentioned the Falcons. They've had some good years, but must figure out their plan at quarterback moving forward in a bad NFC South. And then finally, the Giants and Titans are both a mess. I guess it'd be a good challenge for VJ to see if he could help turn either franchise around. But, man, looking at these 5... Like, if I'm rooting for him, which I am, if I'm rooting for him to get the best job, which of those 5 do you want him to get? And I guess we could throw Baltimore in that conversation. If he got that, I think that would instantly be the number 1 job now that they've moved on from John Harbaugh. We haven't heard any reports of that, but they also just fired their head coach 4 hours ago, so those will start to leak out. But to me, it's the Atlanta Falcons of the 5 that we know. If I were Vance Joseph, that's the one I'd want to go coach.
A lot of talent around that team. Now, I think Kirk Cousins just reworked his deal, so they'll have answers that they need to, or questions that they'll have to answer, especially at the quarterback position. I think the one you brought up just in the last second there is probably the most favorable job. You already have a baked-in franchise quarterback, as Zach and Phil described earlier in the drive, in Lamar Jackson. And talent-wise, you're talking about the team that was the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. No, I think the Ravens would be 1 for sure. I'm just saying we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Like, of the 5 we know.
Oh, the ones that have actually expressed interest.
If Baltimore expresses interest, he should sprint to get on a plane to Maryland. That would, hands down, be the best situation for him to land in. But I guess of the 5 we know, you're picking 5 bad franchises. I would lean towards Atlanta. I don't know if that's your gut, too, or maybe Arizona, Tennessee, the Giants, or the Raiders.
Oh, wow. I think the Raiders could be a fit. The problem is where he goes, you want to have some kind of an answer at the quarterback position.
Right.
And other than Cam Ward, and he escaped the final game with not a serious injury, so he'll be all right. And I don't know if you saw enough in his rookie campaign to go, he's the answer. But you don't really have answers at any of those spots. You're going to have to probably get a gap quarterback, a bridge quarterback over that first season. But as far as talent's concerned on the rest of the rosters, I would tend to agree with you and say, look what Atlanta did in the last couple of weeks. And look what they did against Buffalo on that other Monday Night Football game. They have skill players. So you don't have to have like a world beater at quarterback in Atlanta. You could probably cover the gap for a year or so if you go young. And then if you get the right guy, that roster to me is probably, other than the Ravens, of course, would be the most advantageous spot for him.
Yeah, and I know Penix has the injury history, but I guess I'm not totally out on him just yet. I mean, you invested such a high draft pick in him. Don't you have to see how he comes back from this ACL and then figure it out there? I mean, Cousins is, like you said, he's reworking his deal. We'll have to see what that all means. But if I'm VJ, I'd rather go somewhere where, okay, if Penix is healthy, I can give him a shot. And if not, at least I can fall back on Kirk Cousins.
At least you have like a quarterback competition there.
Right, because if you're going to Arizona, I think they're going to assuredly move on from Kyler Murray. if you're going to the Raiders, what are you working with the kid from Indiana?
Fernando Mendoza, but that's a rookie number 1 overall pick coming to a team without a lot of talent. And then the Giants. I mean, Jackson Dart's intriguing, I guess, but I worry about his future in this league, honestly, with how many hits he takes. Yeah, and organizationally, they've just been a mess lately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Daboll, they were a playoff team with him when he had Daniel Jones playing at a high level. Did they win that game when they were in the postseason?
They went into Minnesota and won. Yeah.
And that was, a couple, 2-3 years ago. So I think the Raiders would be an option, but if you want to say you're rooting for the guy to have success, I agree with you. It's probably in Atlanta.
Yeah, and we'll see what the Ravens ultimately end up doing here. I did see Adam Schefter said that 7 teams have already inquired about John Harbaugh, and there's only 7 openings in the league. And people would say, well, that makes sense. No, it doesn't, because Baltimore's one of the 7 openings, so they're not inquiring. So at least someone who still has their head coach has already called his agent. I agree with you. I think we're rooting for him, but preferably it would be after winning a Super Bowl as Denver's defensive coordinator here in about a month. That would be ideal. Intro presser for him in Atlanta, call it February 14th, maybe a day or two after the parade. All right, how about the Nuggets? What they did last night was truly remarkable, and Cello and I'll dive into it next.
The Broncos followed up their 2024 season by winning 14 games, reclaiming the AFC West and securing a first-round bye in the playoffs. Are the Broncos destined for a return to Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60? Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's a new year, and Aleve is here to help you keep your New Year's resolutions on track. Whether it's a daily walk, hitting the gym, or spending more time with friends and family, Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you moving with long-lasting body pain relief so you can chase those dreams and achieve your goals. Don't let body pain slow you down. Keep going with Aleve, because this year is your year. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Annuities, not advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives.
This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
Are you worrying about those upcoming credit card bills after the holidays? If you're a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing and wipe out that debt. Eliminate the stress and set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the 4th time in December, guys. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate in the low 5s. You heard that right, in the low 5s. That's a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rate. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. Guys, that's like a $10,000 raise to start the new year. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to see how much you can save. And they are closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans, at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334 and MLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 start at 6.196% for well-qualified buyers. Call 303-695-7000 for details about credit costs and terms.
Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss, presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Regular season games. We all remember the one where they went to Utah those years ago and one was 7 dudes and took the iconic photo on the plane afterwards. That game still stands top of mind for regular season games, not postseason games. And this one last night against Philly, 125-124 in OT, Cello. Nuggets had no business even being in this basketball game, let alone winning it. I mean, the laundry list of guys who sat out your entire starting unit. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson, of course, obviously out. Jonas Valanciunas,
Tim Hardaway
still out
Jr.
as well. Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, this was fun. And there's 2 ways to attack this, and we'll get to the Sixers angle in a moment because that one's just kind of hilarious. But from the Nuggets' perspective, to trot out Deron Holmes, Spencer Jones, Jalen Pickett, Bruce Brown, Peyton Watson, Hunter Tyson, Zeke Naji, Julian Strawther, and Curtis Jones, and win 125-124 against a team that had been playing good basketball in the 76ers, this is one that those guys aren't going to forget for a long time.
Not at all. I mean, you also have to look at what both teams did going into that game. You had guys playing against the Nets on Sunday, and MPJ goes off and scores, he scored 25, 27 in that game, and the Nuggets lose. And you're thinking, oh, man, you got to avoid those losing streaks that we talked about last week after we found out the news about Nikola Jokic and how much time he was going to miss. But, dude, the Sixers, I think, had just beat the Knicks. I think Tyrese Maxey went nuts in that game. They just beat the Knicks. They had no business competing for this game. And this is one of those things when we talk about being an American sports fan. This is like that Rockies story. The people that you say they can't do it. And I think Zach did a great job of illustrating it. Like when you come together as one unit, that's what they did last night. And they had guys perform way above their level. And Payton Watson, who I think he's been great this season. And just the opportunity that he's received, just being able to play more, but now to be able to play a lot more with some of the guys that are out. But Jalen Pickett played well for the most part.
Zeke Naji played like the game of his life, and
yes.
That guy's been a punchline,
and that
he
was the
good.
expectation. A lot of people thought when they selected him, when they did, is that you're going to see more games like that. This is the first one that you can remember where it was like, wow, where did this guy come from? His up and under that he made late.
Yeah.
Hunter Tyson hit a big 3. Bruce Brown hit a big 3. It was frustrating down the stretch because I was like, they're going to steal one. And then they let the Sixers back in it. And I agree with Zach. And when they went to overtime, I thought they were done. I thought now you're going to run into their A-level players playing good for 5 minutes, and you're not going to be able to answer the pressure. And you could tell Jalen Pickett got tired, and he's trying to back everyone down instead of moving the rock around. Peyton Watson got tired. He had a turnover late where I think he just misdribbled the ball, and Paul George knocked it back off of him when they fell to the ground. But for them to get that game, we talked about it last week, Will, like what was the number that they needed to get to in the projected 18 games that your superstar was going to miss.
Yeah, I told you I would take 7 and 11.
Yeah, but you also said that 4 and 14 could happen as well.
I did.
I was shooting for 9 and 9. You steal a game like this, I know it would have been beneficial had you beaten the Nets, who's a bad basketball team on Sunday. But to get this one, these are those games we talk about year in and year out. You're going to win some that you have no business winning, and you're going to drop some like you saw in Oklahoma City last night, too, when the Charlotte Hornets went in and beat up on the Thunder. So that's the NBA.
Yeah, but it was like the ultimate gravy win. And me saying gravy, I mean from a Nuggets fan perspective. I don't want to downplay what these players did because you're right. You outlined it well. Pickett played great. Watson played great. Even Najee had a really nice night. Bruce Brown with some clutch shots. It was one of those games where every single one of these dudes had to play their A-plus game, and the Nuggets still won by 1 point. Because on the other side, you were going against household names and household talent in Joel Embiid and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. I mean, even if you're just a casual Hoops fan, you know all three of those names, and they somehow lost to, with all due respect, a guy in Spencer Jones who posted on LinkedIn about how excited he was about the win.
And it was like, we talked about it during the break, but a lot of it is, if you're a Philly fan, what is the answer there? I mean, like, that's one of those games where, and I think, what's his name? He was on Austin
Rivers.
Austin Rivers was on the play-by-play, and he kept calling it a trap game, and this is why this is trouble, because you look at who your opponent's putting out on the floor against you that night, and you think, oh, with our talent, we got this easily. They got into a dogfight, and I probably think even when they got to overtime, they thought they had it, but thank you for a little ineptitude on the Sixers' part and the Nuggets being able to just hold off down the stretch, because it looked like the Sixers were going to come back and win that game as a better team. It kind of reminds me of, you remember when the U.S. team beat the Russians? Like, there was like no chance that was going to happen. But a group of guys came together. They all played out of their minds, and they had to get that win, which is nuts, man.
The miracle on ice meets the magic on the hardwood.
There you go.
Little different circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but I understand the analogy. No one gave them a chance. They were 16.5 point underdogs. And then there's a report from ESPN late this afternoon that Nikola Jokic could be targeting the end of January for a return. That's not exactly breaking, because that sort of lines up with the timeline. But at the same time, that would really be kind of, hey, reevaluate in 4 weeks. It might be, hey, let's take a look at this in 2.5, 3 weeks, give you a week or so to condition, and then get back out there. Obviously, Jokic being back before the All-Star break, I think anything of that nature is a bonus for Nuggets fans at this point.
I think once we found out the injury and knowing his level of toughness, I think a lot of people were thinking, well, it could be the 18 games that they've kind of laid out, that people were thinking it could be more, maybe even closer to 6 weeks. Not surprising to me that he's already pushing the envelope and trying to get back sooner.
Did you see some of the video of him walking into the arena? Like, he looked good.
Yeah.
It was encouraging video. It was like, oh, most of us would not even be with the team, or we'd be laid up on a couch somewhere, and he's just walking in without a limp.
But when they did win it and they show the video of the team erupting around him, I'm like, stay away.
Yes.
Give him the 5-foot circle of protection, please.
It's like an old COVID thing, right? 6 feet, 6 feet. Who was the baseball? Was it Edwin Diaz in the World Baseball Classic? Yeah. Don't need anything like that happening. What a fun win for the Nuggets, and what a fun show. For Dante and Cello, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
The Broncos took care of business against the Chargers and closed out the regular season with a win. After a roller coaster season, does Sean Payton have his team dialed in for the playoffs? Denver Sports 104.3.